Do it now. This is Scott Kaplan and Crew Tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM ESPN Radio. SoCal Sports Talk. Here's Scott Kaplan, Alex Padilla, and John Browner.
All right, everybody. Hey, we appreciate you being here on a Tuesday afternoon. This is Kaplan and Crew with Grande and the Brown Man from the 7 Mile Casino Studios. I should start mentioning to everybody who's listening on radio or watching on TV, and to everybody who's watching on YouTube and listening on an audio podcast, we really this year want to set a goal of getting to 10,000 YouTube subscribers. And you may think to yourself, well, what do I care, man? Do what you have to do. Listen, here's what I'm saying to you. Put it out there. Share our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel, tell your buddies about our YouTube channel. I don't freaking know, whatever. Got to get to 10,000 subscribers this year. We're stuck at about 7,200. So let's all do something here as a community. Help a brother out here, will you? All right. Jumping right in. Let me ask both of you guys this. It's a holiday weekend. You're not going to be working on Monday. So I'm just curious, how much of the Padres and Yankees, as the Padres are going to start with the Florida Marlins coming up shortly, I guess Miami Marlins now, how much Padres Yankees you catch this weekend?
Every pitch.
Every pitch, really?
Dude,
See, Friday,
10 a.m. baseball?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Good, huh?
I love it.
Yeah. See, Friday, it was on Apple TV. And if I'm being honest, I'm having a little bit of an Apple TV issue. I know.
Shocker.
I know. And as a result, I'm 3 episodes into
Ted
Ted
Lasso.
Lasso
So
this
concerned
year.
after she got up like, what happened? I'm like,
Right.
Scott's having trouble with his Apple TV. Can you believe it?
I know.
Who would have guessed it?
Yeah.
I know. I did, however, last night get into HBO Max, which is now just Max, which makes no sense to me at all. But that's a whole other discussion.
A whole other thing.
Join the club.
And I honestly, Alex, because I'm seeing so many people so crazy about Succession. In fact, my 23-year-old son finished Succession like yesterday. He's like, wait, that's it? The series is over? I'm like, that's it.
Yeah.
I actually decided to jump back into Succession last night. I'm on like season 2, episode 4. Nice. They have just gone to Hungary on like the company retreat. I don't know if you remember
on
that.
A boat?
They went out hunting. They went on a wild boar hunting trip.
Yeah.
So
I got to go back and rewatch eventually, but yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to catch up on Succession now. I know I'm late to the party. I get it. But I'm having an Apple TV problem. And as a result, I didn't see Friday's game because it was on Apple TV.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. If you want to know the truth, I can't figure out what my Apple password is.
I mean, you could have that if you're putting the odds at why couldn't Scott watch something on Apple TV, the heavy Denver Nuggets favorite is he didn't know his password.
I cannot. It's because I have 2 different emails. And so one email has one password, one email has another. It's stuck on the other email. I can't get it to the other email. I mean, it's just become very complicated to the point where I just gave up. Gave up trying. So on Friday, I didn't see Padres Yankees on Apple TV. Both you
missed the best game.
That was the best game. What was the game they won?
It was
the best game. I thought that first game was an indicator of what the series should have been. And it ended up just not being competitive. I don't know what I'm watching. I really don't. I got to be honest with you, man. And I mean, I know baseball can be weird, but from day to day, you have no idea what these guys are going to do. No idea. Like the pitching is now inconsistent. For a stage like that, for you, Darvish, to be that bad, where are we going, man?
It's been a weird season.
Where are we going?
It's been a super weird season, and Browner's gonna love this. Don't know how much of it had to do with, with the World Baseball Classic because it just threw such a wrench into you, Darvish, specifically.
What?
No, I'm just asking a question. I mean, you Darvish has been bad. You Darvish has been bad, and he had a late start. He had a late start. He didn't pitch till what, game 5 of the season?
Well, if the World Baseball Classic, if it affected him, Browner's whole take on the World Baseball Classic, from a Padre fan perspective, would have been validated, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, I'm just
Browner
saying,
was saying the whole time
for the World Baseball Classic, for him specifically, I asked the question: how much did it impact his beginning to the season? Because of preparation, he didn't pitch that much. Blah blah blah. Joe Musgrove trying to act like he is a stuntman in El Paso and hurting his shoulder. super late start to the season. He pitched great on Friday though.
Well, it was nice to see Joe Musgrove strike out Aaron Judge twice, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
But then
that's cool.
You got Manny Machado, who's on the injured list for the first time since 2014. Xander Bogaerts. Hey, we paid $286 million for a guy with a chronic wrist injury. Great to know. Now, Tatis suspended for the first 20 games. Jake Cronenworth.
Maybe he should go to the outfield.
Is he first base? Is he second base? What is Jake Cronenworth? I mean, Kim missed
Bogaerts?
the game. What's that?
Yeah. If you got a if you got a chronic wrist, you're probably better served catching balls in right field as opposed to trying to make plays at shortstop. But that's just me.
I'm just going through the list of random or things that have happened in the first 50-some games that we're in already. We're a third of the way through the season. Luis Campusano, who was supposed to be the backup, injured out till mid-July. You got a 29-year-old rookie catcher as your backup who can't hit. Your Nola can't hit. Grisham can't hit. Rougned Odor has been the second best player maybe all season. I don't know. Like, it's just like so wild. Now, Juan Soto is probably the only dude consistently playing really well right now. Like, consistently. There's guys that have games here and there. Tatis has a game here and there, but overall, he's not having a consistently good performance. Juan Soto looks like Juan Soto. If that hasn't happened, how bad would this team be? It is just, like, to Browner's point. I don't know. I don't know what we're watching.
I'd love to hear this. I am so happy to hear you two guys say this because Browner, last year, as Alex and I committed to being emotionless in the first half of the season, and you committed to driving the bandwagon of positivity all season long, you're now starting to get what we told you before last year. A Padre fan has scars. Now, this is supposed to be a new generation, a new era, a new time in Padres baseball history. And the future is supposed to be exceptionally bright because you have all these star players signed to long-term big money contracts. When fans hear the money, they expect their teams to perform based on what they're buying. I know that doesn't sound fair to everybody, but that's reality, Jack. Okay? If your team spends the most money in Major League Baseball, you expect them to compete and win for a World Series. If your team is second, you think that they should be in the World Series. If your team is third, like the Padres are in payroll, you think you're supposed to compete for a World Series championship. And if I showed you the numbers right now, and Alex can do it, of what the Padres are as an offensive team and what the Padres are with their pitching staff, it doesn't equate to the money that's being spent. Go for it, Grande. Explain it.
So the hitting, let's go through that first. This has been the worst part of the season. It's not even close. As a team, they are the worst hitting team in baseball with a 221 average. They've scored the 25th least amount of runs. Or is that the right way to say it? They scored 214 runs, which is 25th least. 63 home runs, which is not terrible, 12th most. This is disgustingly embarrassing. With runners in scoring position, since we've been talking about this for the last, month or so, they've gotten significantly worse with runners in scoring position, hitting 185, which I believe is like 20 points lower than the 29th worst team in all of baseball. Like, I'll say that again. They're hitting 185 with runners in scoring position, which is like 20-some points worse than the next team above them.
So they're dead last in baseball.
By miles, Scott.
Right.
By miles.
Right. That's the important part to understand. Their rank is 30. Right. There are 30 teams. If they're hitting 185 with runners in scoring position. They're dead ass last in baseball in hitting with runners in scoring position, and they have the third highest payroll.
I'll take it a step further because it's always like, with runners in scoring position. With runners on base, there's a dude on first and only first or anywhere on the base paths. They are hitting like 201, which is like 20 points less than any other team in baseball. So it is like their kryptonite. They're getting dudes on base, kind of, just with walks or whatnot. They do nothing once they're on base. Nothing.
I just don't know. Again, I will repeat this. I don't know what we're watching because I don't know how do you coach consistency. And this goes back to where we're trying to say, what is Cronenworth? Is he a first baseman? Is he a second baseman? What's with the struggles of Nola? What's with the struggles of Kim? Have we all just assumed Trent Grisham will strike out at every chance he gets when it's important? Like, watching them play, particularly this weekend, it's kind of what they've been so far this season. They will give you that game where you go, see, they can beat anybody. Then they'll get smoked in one game. You go, they can't beat anybody. And then in between, you'll go, well, that we just kind of got away from us. And that's kind of what every game is like.
Well, that to me, that's why, and I know this is going to be maybe a kiss of death because I'm normally pessimistic Padilla. I will call myself cautiously optimistic Grande, the cog right now, because
nice nickname for yourself.
Every game, Sunday maybe excluded, they're right there. They have opportunities. Yeah. They have opportunities to win 95% of their games. They're like right there.
But they just don't.
And they just haven't yet. And if you just, you figure, eventually they're not going to hit 185 all season with runners in scoring position. Although last time I said that, they got worse. So, but to me, the pitching has held up with a couple games here and there. The pitching has held up far better than I have expected. The bullpen has performed better than I expected without Robert Suarez. But
they got off to a slow start, but they've been very good.
But they're in most games. And if they can just get, and it's seriously, watch Friday's game. And did they have incredible success with runners in scoring position? No. Watch the series in Washington. Did they have incredible success with runners in scoring position? No. It just takes like more than one dude to step up and do something. If two guys can step up and get a home run here, a hit here, they're not that far off from being a good team.
The problem that I have with what I'm seeing is even when you go to the standings, they're one win away from being the worst team in the National League. One. That's like that for what you paid.
But they're not that far.
But they're 2 games away from being in the wild card.
Right. So here's the thing, and this is the way a guy like Kevin Acee, who works for the San Diego Union Tribune. I don't even know why I even reference Acee anymore. I don't know if anybody reads his stuff. I don't know if maybe you follow him on social media. Maybe he is kind of the Padre insider that fans know as like a local media guy. I guess. I don't know. I still, for some reason, follow. Acee wrote this piece today, and his point is that the National League's not very good. So even though the Padres are bad, they're not that far away from being good because nobody's good. Well, here, go ahead, Alex. Why don't you read it for everybody because you got it on the screen.
Yeah, the current record is identical to the Phillies last season. They're 1 game worse than the 2021 Braves, 2 games better than the 2019 Nationals, and just 1 game worse than the 2018 Dodgers. All those teams made the World Series, as you're wondering why he referenced those teams specifically. At least one team that had a losing record, 53 games in the season, has made playoffs every year since 2012. Bob Melvin's A's were one of them. And the 2013 Dodgers were also 23-30. 4 teams that were below 500 at the 53-game mark made the postseason in 2014 alone. In the National League is full of mediocre teams. There are 6 playoff spots available and just 6 teams presently with winning records. The Padres are one of 5 teams within 3.5 games of the final playoff berth.
All right, hold that on the screen for 1 second. I always love this about Kevin. I'll make it brief because you guys already know that I don't like his style. There's always an excuse or there's always a justification. Hey, their current record's not very good, everybody. But, hey, look, on the bright side, these guys were no good at this time. These guys were no good at this time this particular season. They all made it to the World Series. In fact, a couple of them won. So before you get your panties in a wad, just understand that there is data to say that you can be this bad at this time of the season and you can still go on and win a World Series. You can be 24-29 today because other teams have already proven it. And you can go on and win a World Series. So relax, everybody, because that's the message that my man is getting from the team. That's not him making this stuff up. What do you think, Alex? You don't agree?
Well, I love that. No, it's not. I don't disagree with maybe that's what's happening. But Casey Stern was on the show saying the same thing last week.
No, there's no doubt. It is a way of thinking that look, you know what? This is still only 1/3 of the season.
Yeah.
And in baseball, which is a data-driven sport, when you look at all these guys, Machado, Tatis, Bogarts, Soto, Cronenworth, when you look at all these guys, I'll just end with those 5. The numbers historically suggest they're going to get significantly better. And with that will come instead of a 5-game under 500, things should turn around at some point. That's what the numbers say.
The biggest difference between this year and the last decade is that when the Padres fell 5 games below 500, it was going to be a waterfall, and we're going to win 60 games this year, and it's going to be 102 losses. That was what history was here, because that's what you did when you had guys like, I don't have to call names out, but you know what I mean? When you had a lesser roster. So now what that money has brought to this city and to this team is we still have hope to turn it around, because these guys are good historically in their careers. So when you spend that money, expectations are that you could still turn it around. Where if they had the 2013 roster, let's start talking about training camps.
I think because the track record of these players
well said,
is so good.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we have to lean on right now. Because if you watch the games, it doesn't make you feel good. Yes, they're close, but it's a different guy failing every time, with the exception of Trent Grisham. It always seemed to be Trent Grisham at some point in the 9th inning. So if it wasn't the track record of these guys, you're waiting for them to come through, what would we really be looking at? Because Manny's a slow starter. Apparently, Tatis Soto's a slow starter. Tatis was coming back after not playing for a full year. Bogarts was new to us, who started well. Cronenworth was our guy, but now he's looking like just a guy. Kim came through in tight spots. That hasn't happened yet. And so all the things that propelled us last year are really kind of, deceiving us at this point.
Well,
so all we can really lean on at this point is, the Phillies record was this last year. Look what they did.
That's what I'm trying to say to you.
At the end of
that's what I'm saying to you is that the comparison that Alex presented on the screen for everybody who's watching of what AC published is that's exactly what it is. It is a message of, you know what? And Alex is right. There is reason to have hope. I'm not criticizing the whole thing. I'm saying, look, on one hand, there is let's look at the history. The history says this can be done. What Alex is saying is that the history of these players shows that it's likely going to be different at some point. Those are all expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, Alex, if they didn't spend all this money on all these players and they were 5 games under 500 and it looked like it was going overboard at that time, we'd all be going to ourselves, all right, no sports going on. But the Padres have given you an opportunity and a reason to believe that all those numbers, the Dodgers in 2018, the Nationals in 19, the Phillies last year, the Braves in 21, they all turned it around. They all went to the World Series. 2 of the 4 of those teams won the World Series. That could be the Padres. That's what he's telling you.
Well, it's also, too, last year you had an MVP season for Manny Machado. That dude carried this team. He legitimately carried this team. The Philadelphia Phillies were the 6th seed last year. The Padres were the 5 seed last year in the baseball, and they were the NLCS. Would it be fantastic for this city to beat the Dodgers finally and win the division? Absolutely. Absolutely. But we all know, just get in. Just get in. That's all you got to do at the end of the year is just get in. There's 6 teams now instead of 4. Just get in, and you never know what's going to happen. Of course, would it be great to not be in the wild card? Would it be great to be the home field advantage for the team here in San Diego? Yes, of course.
Yeah.
But we saw it last year. You just got to get in, and you got to, and who knows, man? Like, who knows what's going to happen when this team gets healthy, if they get healthy.
Right. Well, let me do this. Let me just have a minute here. We'll keep going. But this is exactly what I was saying is, I was at that bar at the Brigantine and the bartender wants to talk about the Padres. I got an email from Rick Slider, the CEO of medcline.com/great friends. Really, the company's just called Medcline, but I'm giving you the website to use. But Rick said to me, hey man, hope you and the family had a great holiday weekend. Aside from us watching watching us, meaning the Padres. Aside from watching the Padres decide Austin Nola was our best bet to DH during an extra inning game, it was a largely enjoyable weekend. I mean, that's what people are talking about. Like, they put in Austin Nola?
Oh, yeah, that was brutal.
In that situation, the guy can't hit when he's just in a regular lineup. You're going to put him in off the bench like that? It's what people are talking about. Here's something else they're talking about. Local company called Medcline, who helps people all around the world sleep. Browner, how them shoulders feeling?
Pretty good, baby. Put them up.
Yeah, my man Browner here has had all this chronic shoulder pain from a car accident as a kid and couldn't sleep. I had the same problem. I mean, because I always slept wrong on my shoulders, like just really bad, like arm above my head. Alex, on the other hand, had an acid reflux problem. He's like, can't freaking sleep. This Medcline system, man, can help you. If you got acid reflux, you got chronic shoulder pain. We had a listener tell us about this bike accident he was in. He was having like sternum, shoulder, back problems. Says now he's having deep sleep, vivid dreams, and waking up pain-free. Try it. Medcline.com/greatfriends. You'll save 20%. Pop-up happens. It all happens for you automatically. Medcline.com/greatfriends. All right, so Nola can't hit. So what are the Padres doing, by the way? They've gone out and acquired a catcher. Let's get to that story. Plus, the NBA playoffs, the finals are here, finally. Finals. Let's get to that, too.
Hi, welcome to OG's.
Touching down this football season at OG's has never looked better. You can now eat pizza, drink beer, and earn rewards at select OG's locations. You won't miss a live game when you're watching at OG's. We're going all out, all game, all season long.
From New York City comes America's longest running and most popular rugby show. The biggest names in Major League Rugby, MLR highlights, and big match previews. Rugby Wrap-Up presents MLR Weekly, made in New York City.
Kaplan and Crew Tonight is brought to you by OG Sports Brewhouse Pizza, where you can eat pizza, drink beer, and earn rewards.
All right, great friends. Hey, we welcome you back inside the 7 Mile Casino Studios, 7milecasino.com. As promised, the head coach of the San Diego State basketball team, I'm wasting no time at all. Coach Brian Dutcher returns to Kaplan and Crew. Coach, how are you today?
Top of the world. I'm throwing out the first pitch tonight, so I'm good.
That is so cool. Have you ever thrown out a first pitch?
No, no, I haven't. I haven't won enough to throw out a first pitch. I guess I finally won enough to get a throw out one.
And have you?
You better get that arm ready there.
Yeah. Have you practiced at all, Coach?
No, I remember when Matt Sorey used to take Coach Fisher out and they throw some warm-ups, but I'm just going to lob it up there. I'm not trying to throw heat or anything.
You do know, though, that everybody's watching. Like, if it's a good one, we're all going to go, wow, great job, Coach. But if it's really bad, I mean, everybody's going to have this video. I mean, no pressure.
No, I saw Pete Kelsey bounce one in this week, so I already know what it is.
Oh, yeah. And you should have seen Browner here down at the Chula Vista Little League this past Saturday. Also couldn't get to the plate.
Maybe I'll just set one on like T-ball. I'll set one on a tee.
Coach, the obvious place to start is huge congratulations to you, your players, the program, San Diego State as an institution, all the players that came before this group that contributed to the growth of the program. Huge congratulations. How different is your life 10 days after the Final Four in the national championship game?
You know, Scott, I'm so used to working that we got back on Tuesday. I was in the office Wednesday morning, and we're recruiting. We're trying to build next year's team. So as much as I enjoyed it, I'm not a guy that ever over celebrates anything, even though it's something to be celebrated. I've got my eyes on next year and trying to put a team together that can be really good again.
Have you had a chance to think at all about, like, standing there on the floor inside a giant football stadium, knowing that you were on the biggest stage in college basketball? And as an assistant, you may have been there before a long time ago, but have you had any chance to just sort of think about what happened in those couple of days in Houston?
I always say, like, I'm a guy that likes to almost sit back and watch everybody enjoy the experience, but I enjoyed it myself too. You know, I told my assistant coaches on that elevated floor, I said, I'll see you guys at halftime. Make some notes. So it's a different experience to be up there and coaching on that stage on the biggest platform, and truly a platform, and just watching, taking the time to look out into the crowd and seeing all the great Aztec fan base there to enjoy it. First time experience for all of us, me as a head coach, San Diego State as a participant in the city of San Diego, and just watch everybody kind of celebrate that moment, but at the same time, trying to figure out how to win games.
Yeah, it was an amazing run. It really was. Coach, just I'd love to hear what you were thinking when Butler hit the shot that moved San Diego State from the Final Four to the championship game. Could you just go back to what was going on prior to that? Because everybody talked about there's still a timeout. Will he take it? Jim Nantz made mention on national TV. He doesn't have his shooters on the floor. Could you just go back to that sequence and what you were doing?
Yeah, it was like the possession before. We were down 3 and brought it up the floor, and I took a timeout. And I wanted to set up a play to try to get a 3 out of a sideline out of bounds. And if we didn't have the 3, throw it to Jaden Ledee and let him go one-on-one because he just scored one-on-one. And then we scored that basket. I took another timeout, and I looked at the time difference on the clock, and I felt even if they shot the ball, we'd have enough time to get down the length of the floor. And I told him at that time, we are not taking a timeout. And I said, we don't have shooters on the floor. I have 3 bigs on the floor. So cause a miss, get the rebound, get it to Lamont, make sure they're not doubling back trying to intercept that pass. And then you 3 bigs run to the rim, because if he misses, we'll have 3 bigs in to tip it in. And then Micah Parrish, you find space in case he needs to kick for a 3. And so I kind of had a thought in my mind what I wanted to do. But obviously players make the plays in March. Lamont made a magnificent play. They cut him off. He kind of crossed over, came back, and shot a beautiful pull-up jump shot to make me look good as a coach and us look good as a team.
Coach, what made this team different from the other 2 teams that you got to the Sweet 16? Obviously, you played UConn, you played big teams in those tournaments as well. But what separated this team from advancing? Like when you beat Alabama, and I think a lot of people thought you could beat Alabama, but when you did it, and then you had this crazy game against FAU, what made this team different as opposed to the other ones you've had in the past?
Yeah, this is the greatest team in Aztec history because of how far they went and what they did. I'm not sure it's the best team. So there's a difference. I mean, that Kawhi Leonard team with Malcolm Thomas, Billy White, DJ Gay, that was a team capable of winning a national championship. The X-Thames team with Poe Lee and J.J. O'Brien, Josh Davis, Skylar Spencer, that was a really good team too. But sometimes it's just the path lays out. You win games. And I'm just thinking back, like the other 5 seed was St. Mary's. They played UConn in the second round. What if we're that 5 seed and we play UConn in the second round and get beat? And we're talking about, hey, great, Dutcher got his first tournament win. But it just laid out for us where the path wasn't easy, but we took advantage of the path we had.
Coach, you have had the governor of California tweet about you, the vice president tweet about you, and you've got you guys had the city on fire for the program. How has that changed anything that you're doing going forward? And has it opened the door for the recruiting process to become a little bit bigger and a little bit better?
This is the talk we had back when we had Kawhi Leonard, Malcolm Thomas, Billy White. We won at such a level, they said, well, boy, you're really going to be able to go out and get some players now. We have players that just went to the national championship game. So we'll continue to recruit how we do. Recruit guys with chips on their shoulders that have a lot of potential, that are about the right things. And I like the way we've recruited over the years. So we'll continue to do what we do. Maybe it'd put us in front of a different kid or two. But for the most part, we've got good enough players in this program to win in any conference and at any level.
Talking to Coach Brian Dutcher this afternoon. It's Kaplan and Crew, and Coach Dutcher is with us. We're still talking about this San Diego State run. And, Coach, I was telling the guys, we're not going to stop. You know, I want to keep talking to these kids. I want them to be known commodities in this town. We know their names, want to know their stories, want to know more about these guys. Because like you said, by virtue of what they accomplish, it's the greatest San Diego State basketball team ever. It doesn't necessarily mean it was the most talented or the best, But I want to keep going with these guys because they really did something special. And I just got to say that this Final Four run, it really entranced the whole city was into it. Like I've never seen anything like it before. And when Butler hit that shot, coach, that is like one of the top 5 moments in the history of San Diego sports. Does everybody have a grasp on that quite yet?
No, and they asked me at the time how big Butler's shot was. I said, if we win the whole thing, they'll remember it nationally forever, but it'll never be forgotten in San Diego. So that shot will live in San Diego for as long as San Diego State is playing basketball and the city embraces college basketball. So it was an incredible moment. Nationally, it'll be remembered, but not like it would have if we won the whole thing.
Yeah, that's true. One of the best things is there's a picture of Lamont Butler and he's letting go of the ball. And for us, just being a little selfish, our man Alex here is standing in the background with his arms raised before the ball has even gone through the net. It was awesome.
I knew it was going in, coach. Never had a doubt in my mind. I don't know about you, but I was confident from the stands.
Well, I'm thinking, is there time left on the clock? What do I have to do? I mean, I put both arms up, but then it's like, what if they put 0.2 of a second on the clock? So I'm still in coach mode. And the same thing can happen against UConn. To go to the Final Four, we really didn't get to celebrate. It's like they're going to put time on the clock. I'm convinced of it. So we have no timeouts. If it's their ball, here's what we're going to do to keep Kalkbrenner from throwing to the rim and getting a lob to tip in to beat us. If it's our ball, we want to throw deep. So all we have to do is touch it. And then the refs come over and say, no more time. So it's like a anticlimactic celebration to go to the Final Four. Mm-hmm. And same thing with Florida Atlantic. It's like, I'm convinced they're going to put time on the clock. They always do. And so when that moment happened, Dusty May was trying to shake my hand before the refs ruled it good. I said, Dusty, I'm not that guy. I want to make sure they count it before, we shake hands and we start celebrating.
Coach, I thought the most impactful thing throughout the tournament was I saw your team's true identity come to the surface. The amount of defense, the 40 minutes of defense from end to end that your team was able to play throughout each game, you could see it was frustrating these other teams you guys were playing because they were used to guys playing like that maybe a couple minutes a game, maybe a half. But when you guys were pressuring guys like that and defending like that the entire time, I think you guys wore a lot of people down. Were you able to get the guys to see that through film study? And did they pick up on it? Or was this just something that all year you guys were doing?
It's just our culture. Like when we do a shooting drill early in the year, like we want to make 120 in 2 minutes or whatever that is. And if we don't make it, a lot of coaches say, okay, on the line, down and back. And I'll say, okay, on the line, we're going to do some defensive slides. We're going to do shuffles. We're going to do this and that. Because I tell them there's games where as open as we are, the ball's not going to go in. How are we going to win those games? When we're wide open, it's a great shot. It doesn't go in. Those are the games we're going to win with our defense. So it's just a mindset. It's a culture that we're going to be defense first. And as open as we are, sometimes the ball does not go in. And we're one of a handful of teams that are going to win games when the ball doesn't go in.
See, going into this tournament, Coach, and you know this well, but the country learned about it. Going into the tournament, you were 0-3 in the NCAA tournament as a head coach at San Diego State. Now you're 5-4.
Going over 500. That's not very good.
Well, hey, it's better than being under 500. It's better than being 0-3. That all happened in one tournament. And what I thought was really interesting is how we have gotten the chance to see the development of the program. For a lot of America, people are like, wow, San Diego State. And then what they start to do is they say this, Brian Dutcher, one of the top college basketball coaches in the country. Like they start to talk about you differently. Are you a much better coach at 5-4 in the NCAA tournament than you were when you were an 0-3 record?
Well, hopefully I'll get paid like a better coach. But
Hey-o,
coach I've always been.
Yeah.
Richard, our sports information director, I asked Richard because I didn't know. I said, how many NCAA tournament games have I been on the bench? Not head coach, been on the bench. I think it was like 56 NCAA tournament games. So I just say now I'm 63. I know a lot more at 63 than I knew at 53, than I knew at 43, than I knew at 33. Even though at that time I thought I knew everything. Mm-hmm. So if you can survive in this business, those experiences pay off. And so I chose my path wisely. I knew I wanted to retire as a coach. Sometimes you think you're going to be the coach that takes a lesser school and resurrects it. And in 3 years, you're out of work and you can't find a job. So I thank Coach Fisher for keeping me along for that ride for so long. And I was patient until I got the job I wanted, which was this one.
Yeah.
I want to ask a very open-ended question to you, Coach, and it maybe has to do with pay, maybe has to do with assistants, maybe has to do with conference. What is the future of this program now? Obviously the rumors of Pac-12, Big 12 realignment, assistant coaches could get poached when you make a national championship run. We all know which players are coming and which players are leaving. What is the future of this program?
We've been in the Mountain West my whole time here, and I always say we're a high major program in a non-Power 5 conference. I'm trying to paint us like Gonzaga. Gonzaga's in the WCC, but they're looked at as a high major program. I think the West Coast always believed that San Diego State plays high major basketball, but now the nation's kind of been made aware of that. So I think it's upped our branding in the nation. West Coast, it's always been good. So if we make a conference move, I'm not stressed over it. I know we're a good enough program to survive wherever we end up. And whether it's in the Mountain West, we'll continue to have a high major program in the Mountain West. If we're in the Pac-12 or Big 12, our intention is just to compete at the highest level in those conferences. So those all happen at a level beyond me. Whatever decisions are made by John David Wicker and President De La Torre, I'm in support of, and wherever we end up, whether it's staying here or moving on, we'll be ready for that challenge.
Coach, you guys you spoke about this actually when the interview first began about getting back to the business of coaching. You were already recruiting again. With the transfer portal being such a vital process to San Diego State, before it became a national thing, before guys started talking about, all this talks about transfer portal, you guys were already locked in and recruiting that way, using transfers to build the program. Now that everybody is such a focal point of the transfer portal, has it changed the way that you guys operate within it?
It's all NIL. NIL is everything in the portal right now. And, some of these players are being offered $260,000. If you're a big center, you might get $1 million, like a Dickinson or a kid at Kentucky. And so there's a lot of money being thrown around in the portal. And so we have to navigate that. We're not throwing that money away. We're not paying like that.
Yeah. Hey, Coach Dutcher, congratulations to you, to your family, to the program, to the players, et cetera. Really amazing job. We really appreciate you always. And thanks for doing this with us today. And by the way, good luck with your first pitch tonight at the Padres game.
Well, the only way you'll see it is if I throw it in the dirt.
Kind of rooting for that, just like a little bit.
I know. I knew if anybody would be, it'd be you.
Hey, Coach, we appreciate you. Thank you so much, and congrats.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Kaplan and Crew Tonight is brought to you by OG Sports Brewhouse Pizza, where you can eat pizza, drink beer, and earn rewards.
Dominating the SoCal radio airwaves for over 20 years. Join Scott Kaplan, Alex Padilla, and John Browner for Kaplan and Crew every Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Only on the Mightier 1090 ESPN Radio, SoCal Sports Talk, and the Mightier1090.com.
Hi, welcome to OG's.
Touching down this football season at OG's has never looked better. You can now eat pizza, drink beer, and earn rewards at select OG's locations. You won't miss a live game when you're watching at OG's. We're going all out, all game, all season long.
Murray Lampert now brings architectural and interior design to a whole new level for your remodel, ADU, or whole house build.
We're truly a team at Murray Lampert Design, Build, Remodel, and we don't take that lightly.
Visit murraylampert.com.
Hey, great friends. It is Tuesday afternoon. Kaplan and Crew back on the radio airwaves, back on cable TV, on YouTube, all the different audio podcast platforms, and we're coming to you from the 7 Mile Casino Studios, 7milecasino.com. By the way, I got to tell you guys, very, very happy to be with you today. You two fellas. Missed you guys and missed all the great friends. I mean, I'm telling you that on Friday, I was in the YouTube chat and we were all talking about maybe we should all go to the North Park Music Festival Grande where you were this weekend. I just never made it down. Never made it down that way.
I didn't see anybody if they were there.
You were in the chat at that point, I think, too.
At the end of it? Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I said, come on down.
Yeah, I know. I would have. I was just, I don't know, the whole day kind of got away from me. But it was actually nice to not have plans, to not be going somewhere, to not be booked, to not feel pressured. actually nice. Just need sunshine, man. If this is the official start of summer, let's
Well,
go. And I get it. May, gray, June, gloom. I got it. Okay. And that always works just fine. If the winter wasn't so wet and gnarly and terrible. So come on. This is not Seattle, pal.
Well,
Let's
the
do a
sun was
beautiful
definitely
thing.
out at the North Park Music Festival.
It was really
Yeah,
all
man.
day. What time? Like all day? Like
The whole
literally
time
all
I was
day?
there.
What time did you get there?
2-ish?
Oh, all right.
Yeah. 2 to 5 I was there.
All right.
And it was actually like so bright and there was no shade. I was like, let's go.
Wow.
Let's go
Different
find some shade.
experience.
Mhm.
Del Mar, it took till about 4:00 in the afternoon on Saturday. And on Sunday, I don't even know if the sun ever came out on Sunday up here. And then Monday, yesterday, about 4:00 in the afternoon, the sun was out to the point where I kind of got the same way. I was like, so like a half an hour ago, I was complaining about no sun, and now it's a little too hot for
Yeah.
me.
I took a hoodie and carried it the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I got it. So we were talking about the Padres before we hit the break. And I made mention that one of our friends, Rick Slider, the CEO over at Medcline, had sent me this email about, hey, I had a nice weekend. Other than watching the Padres put Austin Nola in a DH kind of situation in an extra innings game against the Yankees. Like, why would you do that? The Padres made a move to get another catcher. And I don't know a whole lot about Gary Sanchez, who they signed from the Mets. Did the Mets let him go?
Yeah.
Okay. You got anything on Gary Sanchez? Because I got to be honest with you, I don't watch a lot of Mets games.
Here is he played, I think he had like 7 at-bats there. He didn't even play very much. And they DFA'd him. Designated for assignment for those.
Was he a backup catcher for them?
He wasn't even a backup catcher for them. So he was just kind of a body, and they let him go. And, he's a 2-time All-Star, played for the Yankees for a long time. I believe he was with the Twins last season. Here's the bottom line. What do you got to lose?
I mean, yeah, if it doesn't cost you anything, and it's a potential upgrade.
It costs you a prorated salary. They got to pay his prorated salary of like $1 million. So whatever however long he's here, they pay that prorated salary. But when I mean like, what do you got to lose? Like literally, what do you got to lose? I mean, they have the 2 catchers on the current roster, not losing
131.
It is, and here's the thing: for those watching, you're seeing. Walk us through
the numbers.
For those watching, you could see it, but for those listening, Austin Nola's hitting 131, 1 home run, and that 1 was in Mexico, 7 RBIs. This should be illegal. This should be illegal, what I'm about to say. With runners in scoring position, which is often with Austin Nola. 0.65. That's his batting average with runners in scoring position.
Maybe they should bat him first.
To not have anybody on base? Yeah, maybe.
I mean, listen, I'm just coming up with extreme concepts here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the backup catcher, Sullivan, not doing much better. He's in 170, 1 home run, and 5 RBIs. Do you remember that one big game he had where he got 1 home run and 4 RBIs? So he has done nothing else besides that one big game. And he's hitting 182 with runners in scoring position. So
brutal. So to
and
your point,
neither of them can throw anybody out. It's like if someone steals a base, no one can throw him out. It is it is as bad as it can be for a catcher. We are experiencing that right now.
Anything from Preller on what they're doing here?
Basically
Any comments?
Just that. This is a quote. It's a spot we're looking to get more from. Gary has some track record. He was a 2-time All-Star. He's played on good teams before, been on playoff teams in New York. He's always been a guy who has arm strength and has bat potential from our standpoint. We're trying to get a different person in the equation and getting a talented player and give him an opportunity and see where it goes.
Okay, so Gary Sanchez, for those that are listening on radio that get all butthurt when like the radio guy isn't an expert on the player, tough. Never heard of the guy before. Alex, is there anything you can you pull up anything? I'm kind of throwing a curveball, but is there anything you could pull up, like his career stats, how long he's been in baseball, how old he is?
Oh yeah, he's 30 years old. He's been in baseball for 9 years. This is off the top of my head. He played for the Yankees for a really long time. I think I remember.
All you need to know is he's available. That's all you need to know. What are we doing? All you need to know
want to know what
available.
we're getting here, Brown. That's all. I just want to know a little more about what we're getting here.
He's available. You ain't getting nothing. You're going to get what you're already getting from these other 2 bozos. Nothing.
Listen, Listen, in 2000, in his 2 All-Star years, he
Yeah.
had 33 home runs and 34 home runs in 2017.
So why he available?
2019. Because the last 3 seasons, this year included, he had 204, 205, and 167.
Dude, that's a monster upgrade over what the Padres have at catcher right now.
Literally, what I'm saying, you have nothing to lose. If Gary Sanchez is the worst catcher in baseball, he's still equal on par with the 2 we have now.
Read those last 3 seasons again, please.
Well, this year he only has 6 at bats. So the last 2 seasons,
he's fresh, Brown. He's fresh.
The last 2 seasons, last year in Minnesota, played 118 games, hit 205, 16 home runs, and 61 RBIs. His last season in New York in 2021, he had 204 with 23 home runs and 54 RBIs. It's 23 times better than Austin Nola.
If Gary Sanchez can come in and hit 10 to 15 home runs, okay, then we can kick up some dust about him. But, bro, you available for a reason. They don't DFA people who can help. They DFA people who either they're a problem.
Eric Hosmer.
Or
exactly. Eric Hosmer.
They
Luke
DFA
Voigt
people.
Remember Luke Voigt? He just got DFA'd by the Brewers.
Really?
They
Let's
DFA
bring the band back together. Let's bring them all back, dude.
Who cannot help. This guy will not be able to help. The answer at catcher, no one knows where it's at. No one does. We just hope that somebody on this roster can figure something out who we are already paying.
Why would we think that? Guy. Why? Let me ask you a question. In the last segment, we talked a lot about how the reason that you're not giving up on the Padres, who are 5 games under 500, 4th place in the division, and has one of the worst records in the entire National League. The reason you're not giving up on them is because there is data to prove that from this position and this record at this time of the year, you can still win a World Series. That's number 1. Number 2, the rest of the National League, you're not that far away from having the worst record. You're not that far away from being in the wild card. So nobody's really pulled away. And lastly, the reason you think the Padres can still make a comeback is because of their star players and what their history is. So I would ask you this. If you go back and you look at Austin Nola's history, is all of a sudden a guy who's going to hit 15 home runs about to sprout out that we haven't seen before? Is his history such that he's going to, we can rely on him? I'm asking because I'm not sitting here looking at the stats.
Austin Nola,
we all know he got to the majors really late.
Yeah, he's basically another Brett Sullivan. I think his rookie season was like 28, 29 years old.
Yeah,
and he was a converted shortstop.
Right.
Correct.
So what I'm saying to you is don't have any expectations, bro.
Gary Sanchez is 3 years younger than Austin Nola and only a year older than Brett Sullivan. So it's not like they're bringing in some dude that's like hobbling around.
There should be the person.
He should be an upgrade, really.
They should look at giving Ethan Salas a try before.
He's 16 years old.
I don't give a damn. They need help.
16 years old. They have other catchers in the system. They're not going to bring Ethan Salas up.
They need help.
You sound like my WhatsApp threads with my Padre fans.
You also
panicking.
sound like a total baseball nerd. Like when you start bringing up 16-year-old minor leaguers and saying their names like as if those of us with lives who don't really follow the minor league system don't really know the name. You just said it, dude.
I just looked up Padres prospects, and he was the 3rd best one. And
the way you sound great.
I didn't look his age up. I don't care what. Listen, I don't care what if you collecting the check to play for me, I need you playing where I need you playing. And right now, you think he can hit better than what what Nola's doing?
No.
Really?
Why do you sound surprised? I don't think a 16-year-old kid could come up here and hit well. No.
Yeah, Brown, I got to be honest with you. I got a 16-year-old kid. Tatis was how old when Tatis got here?
Like 20, 19?
I mean, come on, dog.
He got up here?
Yeah.
These are not those kind of 16-year-olds, man. These are Mozarts, man. These are Shakespeare's. These are not those kind of 16-year-olds. This ain't some kid who's playing Fortnite until he falls asleep. Like, these are kids dedicated to this craft. And at 16, if you thought enough of him to sign him at 16 and you played him in spring training, because I remember them playing him in spring training, why not give him a shot? Give him some ABs, baby.
Listen,
give him some
bro,
ABs.
I'm all for bringing guys up as quickly as possible. I swear to you,
Let's see when he's 17.
But not 16. Not 16.
Hey, the El Paso Chihuahuas. I'm looking at their individual stats now since we're just all going to Google.
Oh, now we're
live.
going total baseball nerd.
Yeah, let's do it. Yorman Rodriguez, catcher in El Paso, hitting 289 with 3 home runs and 32 RBIs. Bring him up. Pedro Severino hitting 286 with 3 home runs and 8 RBIs. Bring him up. No?
Look at Brown. He got the goggles on. Browner got on the nerd goggles now. He's
the one looking up prospect list. He's doing it himself.
The athletic, Keith Law, Padres, Ethan Salas looks like a superstar in the making. I can't believe this kid is 16. What? So what I'm telling you,
Did you just read me a Keith Law tweet? Did you just read me a Keith Law tweet? From when? Show me the date. What was the date?
Okay.
Read me the date.
Look at it. He now got to put the goggles back on. I don't know
April
what that noise
4th.
means.
April 4th, 2023. Get your pocket protectors out, pimping, because that's from the athletic. He can't believe he's 16. Bring him up. What we doing? You know we ain't scared to pay nobody because we cutting checks like the money free. We cutting checks like Monopoly Pass, go collect $200 around here. We rebuilding parts of the stadium. Cut the shit. Get this kid some minutes, man. Some innings, rather.
Get him some minutes.
Get
that brother some minutes.
Get that brother some minutes on the pitch clock.
Yeah. Well, the Padres sent Brent Sullivan down to AAA. So it's Gary Sanchez and Austin Nola.
All right. Hey, look, I want to take 1 minute here.
Ethan Salas.
I love him. You know what? No, Browner's onto it. You know what he should do? They should bring him up, and then they should sign him to a 14-year deal, and they could give him $150 million right now.
This is like when
giving money away.
This is like when the Padres.
They already gave him $5 million.
It's like when the Padres were so terrible. We were talking about, Johnny Manziel. Yeah, bring him up. Why not?
Yeah, right.
Let's get some
Garth
butts
Brooks,
in the seats.
Garth Brooks, start him at short.
Oh, Will Ferrell, come on in.
Yeah, we don't care.
Yeah. Ethan Salas.
Listen. And by the way.
Okay, he's just Googling hard. He's Ethan Salas. Boom, boom, boom,
by the way, here we go. You ready for this? You ready for this?
Yeah.
You know what's gonna be? You know what's happening with Ethan Salas next couple days?
Tell me.
Gonna be 17.
Oh, hell to the
he's ready.
17.
Oh, he a grown-ass man. He a grown-ass man.
Yeah.
So this idea that he's 16, he can barely drive. He's gonna be 17. 2 days.
Oh.
Bring him up. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Hit a curveball.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, is it okay? To be fair to Browner, could Ethan Salas come up here and hit .065 with runners in scoring position?
Yes, he could. Yes, he could.
Where's he at right now, this Ethan Salas guy? Where's he at?
Rookie ball in some camp in Peoria, probably.
Dude, bring that young brother up here.
He's in the backfield catching no names in Peoria right now.
I say bring that young 17-year-old brother up here and let him hit .70 with runners in scoring position, and that will be a drastic improvement.
Hey,
like I said,
that's all I'm saying.
Like I said with Gary Sanchez, what do you got to lose?
Nope, you got nothing to lose. All right, listen, I want to talk a little bit of NBA Finals that are now set. So stand by for that in just 1 second. Before I do, I got to make a quick mention here. Grande, I had a great friend, longtime listener, send me a message this weekend, and she said to me, what is the product that Alex is taking to help him lose weight? I'm finally ready to do that. And it just cracked me up because we've been talking about iThrive MD for 3 years. And we've been talking about the iThrive Lean program for probably a year and a half. I mean, ever since it went out, maybe a year. And you've lost 50, how many pounds now? 50 what?
3-ish.
53 pounds since October, before you were married.
Yeah, and honestly, it was about 53 about a month ago. So I'm kind of like me and the doc are in the process of transitioning to something else. So it's kind of been from October to the beginning of May. It was about 50 pounds and 52 pounds.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. It really is. I mean, I'll just say it like this. Alex tells the story of at his wedding, buckling his belt for his suit on the very last buckle. And a week ago, having to go to a wedding and having to like make his own loop because the belt is now so big. You got to lose weight, bro. You don't have time to change your diet or discipline to change your diet. You don't have the workout regimen. You don't have the time. Your health is at risk. You need to do this, and you need to call iThrive. 858-240-1497 for those of you that are driving around. 858-240-1497. $14.97. For everybody else, go to our website, kaplanandcrew.com, like this lady is going to do. And I told her in 90 days, you'll have lost the weight you wanted to lose. Because, to me, she looks great as she is. But you know who you are, babe. Long-time listeners, great friends. Let's get back to it. So did you guys watch? I mean, I was watching. I don't know if you guys were. Browner, I know you were. You watched this Miami-Boston game yesterday, Grande?
Unfortunately, I did.
Well, better than any Laker win of the season. What happened last night? That was fantastic, dude.
You like that? You like to see the Celtics get knocked out at home?
Ooh, baby.
If you're a Laker fan, if you're out, you might as well take pleasure in Boston's failure, huh?
First of all, let me just as a context thing of what I'm saying right here, okay? Yes, the Lakers got swept, embarrassing enough, whatever. But then the thought of coupling that with the Boston Celtics becoming the first team in NBA history to come back from down 0-3 to make the NBA Finals, like that would have just been a punch straight directly to the groin. So the fact that they did all that and they had that incredible, ridiculous buzzer beater on Saturday night, and then to go out there at home and have Duncan Robinson shush your crowd. Man, they got balled up by Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin was designated for assignment by the Hornets last year.
Dude. Caleb Martin. Do you remember him in college?
He had a twin at Nevada.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played at Nevada. Those two
that
twins,
was for like the best Nevada teams in their history.
Right, because they transferred from like North Carolina State to Nevada. I don't know if it was both twins. It was certainly Caleb Williams. And I remember him playing at Nevada because obviously we see them play against San Diego State. I was like, Caleb Williams. And then what's the kid? Duncan Robinson to the crowd. I was like, who's that dude?
Yeah. They got balled up by Caleb Martin and Duncan Robinson. They barely needed Jimmy Butler in the second half. It was great. Bam Adebayo may have had the worst game of the series, and they still didn't even need him. And I understand Tatum rolled his ankle.
I don't want to hear that.
But the Miami Heat don't have anybody healthy right now. Tyler Hero hasn't played since the first round.
I thought Miami had run out of bodies, and I thought the only bodies they had remaining had run out of legs.
Jimmy Butler has sprained his ankle 6 times this playoff series alone.
Mm-hmm.
So it
thought
it was great.
What you saw from the Celtics is what got them down 3-0 and what made them eventually turn back into a pumpkin at midnight. I don't know what they're gonna do with that team, but you can't keep those guys together, man. Like, I don't want to hear about Jason Tatum's ankle. Marcus Smart was a lottery pick. Jaylen Brown was a lottery pick. Derek White was a lottery pick. Al Horford was a lottery pick. These guys, they had more talent on that team. You cannot tell me why guys who played college basketball, because none of those guys went straight from the NBA to high school or G League, okay? Why they have a head coach who can't figure out a zone, okay? Bebop, let me basketball for you, okay? Man, if you got a coach who's the youngest coach in the NBA who cannot figure out what to do against a zone, he can't be the coach.
But you know what? I think what you're saying, and I can't believe I'm having this deep of a conversation about the Boston Celtics. I think that this guy, Joe Mazzulla, this coach, is such a wannabe tough guy. Bro, you can't be Bill Belichick until you won a couple of rings. You know, the disrespect with which he speaks to everybody, and you go, oh, it's his personality. It's how he is. One word answers. No, he's being a dick. And my guess is that if they had a veteran coach, I'll give you an example, like a Monty Williams, maybe a Doc Rivers. But I'm just throwing out names like veteran guys. Because that guy,
how about that punk upstairs that was like, this is too hard for me. I'm going to go upstairs instead.
Get him back down on the bench.
That always works out. Yeah.
So, all right, let's do this. We'll
shout
talk
out
more
Pat
about
Riley, man. Jeez.
Dude, Pat Riley's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Because here's the thing: as much as everybody says that Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA, people say that. I don't know if everybody agrees with that, but he gets a lot of hype. But why not? I mean, you just look at the last. I think yesterday they were saying the Miami Heat have been in the finals 6 times in the last
13 years or something.
I mean, that's New England Patriot stuff. If you win. Yeah, I mean that's Atlanta Brave stuff, But that's Pat Riley.
Yeah.
No, 3. Right? 1 with Dwayne Wade and 2 with LeBron.
LeBron, yeah.
I mean that is a great organization. And as much as you say Eric Spoelstra is this amazing coach, I think he is, but You got Pat Riley right behind you telling you what to do, don't you? I think. All right, we're in the 7 Mile Casino Studios, 7milecasino.com. Get into a little bit more on this NBA Finals set and a couple other things. Like San Diego State basketball is getting their best player back. We'll get there next.
Thank you for joining us. Catch Scott Kaplan and Crew tonight from 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific every Monday through Friday. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM ESPN Radio, SoCal Sports Talk.